welcome into Southside Pod. My name is Chris Lanuti, bellying up to my 9-foot homemade oak bar. Pour yourself a cold one as we sit in the basement on the south side of Chicago and cover everything in the area that matters most to you. Over the next 30 minutes on this episode, we'll be joined by a former Southsider that now resides at MLB Network and is very excited about the upcoming White Sox season. We're going to have a chat with one of the bigger all-girls schools in the country, Mother McAuley, to find out what's going on this semester after they tried out a hybrid model that got the kids in school right at the beginning of last semester. And of course, we're heading to a brewery, Imperial Oak in Willow Springs. Bill, on one of the previous episodes, you mentioned to me that there was something that you didn't get to.
You asked about what I miss most since this pandemic started.
Yeah, I never found out.
You talked about breweries.
Yeah.
Mine, honestly, is you used to go to a bar and I'm not talking about going to like the Rosemont Horizon or whatever it's called now, or United Center or anything like that, to see like the Rolling Stones or whatever like that. But going to a bar and seeing a show, seeing a band play, just going there and just not even going there for the band,
right?
But just being surprised by they're playing or this is pretty cool music. Just seeing live music, any kind of live music, and there was a lot of that in the South Side always, and most bars on Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights.
There's a couple of good venues.
Of course, actual music venues. But even if it was like a Sunday brunch or something at Bourbon Street, Marina Park, where you would just have some acoustic band playing in the background, where it would just acoustic covers while you're eating your California chicken sandwich. That's just live music. That's all I'm looking for. And I miss that.
I wish we could do more of that. I think we're going to start with outdoor venues first. You know how they're going to ease into this.
Sure.
Psychologically. If they vaccinate everybody tomorrow, let's say that they found a way to put it into the atmosphere and everybody was vaccinated in like a week, they still would take their time opening things
Absolutely.
up. Okay? Like that, because psychologically, everybody is going to be like weirded out by the whole thing.
These shows.
It's like, what, I'm allowed to stand next to people again?
There's been a couple of shows where like at the drive-in where you got to park in your car and like listen to it in your car and watch it on stage. That's weird. Like, I'm not into that. That's not a show to me. Maybe you get it out of your system where you hear your favorite band play, but I want to sit in a and not even have to be crowded. I want to sit at a table and eat some chicken wings and listen to a band play some U2 songs.
Right.
That's
somebody
all
do
I
a
want.
cover. Yeah, I want some cover band to get
Give
up
me
there.
something, right?
The girl colored her hair red because she's the lead singer of Garbage,
Right.
so she has to look like her.
Right. Oh, I'm Charlie Manson.
She's a school teacher.
Even if it's bad.
During the week, she's a plain school teacher,
Right.
Who never dresses in any way like the Shirley Manson.
But come Friday, 5 p.m.,
red dye in her
she
hair,
has a couple
short leather
White
skirt.
Claws.
Right, exactly. And she's had a few White Claws. She's up there, and she's singing she's singing the queerest of the queer or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. She's like leaning into it. Like, that's what I want to see.
That's right. And even if it's
She
bad,
thinks she's the sexiest thing on earth.
even if
she's
it's
up there with
bad,
the band.
it's live music and it's still fun.
Right.
Well, sometimes, especially because it's bad.
Right.
Because you're sitting there with your boys, having a pitcher of beer, and just laughing your ass off.
I think sometimes
you know?
it's really fun when you see a cover band and they don't know the words.
That happens?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Really?
Where they screw up the delivery
What was the
of
band?
Words.
What was not the band, but like the band
I
they were
have
covering?
found myself at times. I can't come to a specific one that I remember because it's been so long
Like a
since
Red
we've
Hot
been able to do
Chili
this.
Peppers or something?
We're
Or were
just
they
like, what I gotta do but down and even D. And you're like,
but I got to come back up to
right.
mama.
But you're like, wait a minute, there's actual words. The guy's like, doo-ba-dabba-doo-ba-dabba-doo-ba-doo-doo. And he's just jumping around, whipping his hair out with his shirt off. Yeah. No, but I've done it before. I've been singing along with a band. And I hear
and
them
you know
like
more words than the
miss
lead
a
singer.
line, yeah, because I'm like a real big fan of that band, and I'm like, that's not what they say in that song.
Right.
Like, I've heard that before.
You're wrong, sir. You're wrong, not Scott Weiland.
Then I wait till afterwards, and I meet them while they're loading their stuff in the truck, and I tell them what they did wrong.
Huh?
No, I don't do that. I don't care. I don't care. Lurking outside.
You're the worst not Jane's Addiction band I've ever seen.
Why don't cover bands call themselves that more often?
Not Jane's Addiction.
Not Jane's Addiction. Not Smashing Pumpkins. Like, they just put the word "not" in front of it to be amazing.
People come up with $1 million ideas. I come up with $100 ideas. And that's one of them.
Something a lot of people want to get back to doing is going and seeing baseball, and that's why I'm going to bring in right now, without further ado, Steven Nelson from MLB Network. You're the rare wild beast that is a White Sox fan in the national media. This is amazing to me.
Yes, and I'm honored to be representing the Sox for the network. Carry the flag proudly as I've done my entire life. But it is odd. Like, I grew up being like immersed in the White Sox, thanks to my dad. Like I just followed Pops, and so it was all White Sox, everything. And then as you get older and then you move around the country, and the common question for any baseball player is like, oh, who do you root for? And if you say the Yankees, like, the Yankees, F the Yankees or whatever like that, you say, insert franchise here, there's some sort of reaction. When I say White Sox, it's like, oh, okay. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like that. It's just like that. Nobody seemed to care. And I was like, wait, 2005. Like, oh yeah, they did play. It's the Forgotten World Series, and it drives me nuts. But anyway.
I saw you filling in on Hot Stove recently. I saw you on Intentional Talk, and it's nice to see somebody mention the White Sox and actually sound like they care about them. I think that's fun for White Sox fans.
Something I talk about a lot is, representation in sports. Me being a minority, me being Japanese. I talk about that a lot. And I do think there is some of those same feelings for me when it comes to fandom. Now, like growing up and going to school for, broadcast journalism, you take journalism classes, you're taught anyway that you have to suppress that fandom in order to be objective. Like they're mutually exclusive things. For me, I know that I can be objective when covering a story. Like if the White Sox stink, I'm going to say the White Sox stink. If somebody within the organization or on the team does something stupid, I can say that they just did something stupid. But but me rooting for them to win ball games, win a championship, that doesn't prevent me from doing my job the right way. So I have totally disagreed with that teaching, like you can't be a fan. Like being a fan is what drew us to sports in the first place. So as long as you can do your job objectively and do it with integrity, then I don't see the problem with being a fan and rooting hard for your squad. So that's why, whenever I get the chance on the air, and the Sox come up, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah. We're talking Sox baseball. Like this is right up my alley. This is what I spent my entire life wanting to do.
So what do you think about them this year? I mean, you've seen some of these moves that they made. They went out, they got themselves a closer. They make the move for Lance Lynn, which I liked. What are your thoughts so far about the team and what they look like in 2021?
I'm ecstatic. Okay. I am also though trying to temper expectations and excitement. I think that pessimism has grounded me throughout my sports fandom with any team, whether it's the Sox or the Hawks, certainly with the Bears. Pessimism is not a problem when you're rooting for the Chicago Bears. So I always kind of have that level of something bad's going to happen. Like it's not going to be as great as we think. Because then when greatness does happen or happiness does happen, then it feels just that much better. It's kind of like a demented way of being a fan, but that's what gets me through it. Looking at this particular team in this offseason, I think that the front office has mostly hit all the right notes in terms of personnel, player personnel specifically. You mentioned the Adam Eaton reunion. I was a little caught off guard with that. I am also, I hope, obviously, now that it's signed and a done deal, can't do anything about it. Obviously, I hope that it works out better this time, that it's just a better fit culturally, that the performance for him gets back to where it was a couple years ago, that the defense returns to form, as there was kind of a dip in that regard over the past year and a half, too. You've heard me say this on the air, too. I've just been clamoring for Michael Brantley. I really would have, if it were me. It's always easier to spend somebody else's money. But if it were me, I would have taken that money and invested it into a hitter and a pro like Michael Brantley.
Well, Steven, I appreciate you taking the time and talking with us. Do me a favor, just make sure that there's awful lots of B-roll running in the background of White Sox moments, that all the introductions of the show include the Sox now, because we went through a few years there where you couldn't find a White Sox image on the network. So, because we were terrible, which is understandable. So now I'm excited I'll turn on a show and there's Tim Anderson's running across in a graphic. I'm like, we're relevant again. So, I'm excited about that. Keep that going.
Yes, 1,000%. Like, look, there are so many franchises, including the one across town. I can't for the life of me figure out what the hell the Cubs are doing. But there are tons of franchises. The majority of them in baseball right now are going in a certain direction. Okay, and it should be obvious what I'm saying there. And the Sox are not. The Sox aren't. The Padres aren't. You know, there are teams who haven't traditionally played with the big boys in terms of payroll, who are being aggressive because they see the opportunity that is in front of them. And I think, and look, it's all cyclical, right? We know that. But let's be sure to enjoy this part of the cycle, okay? Because, you know, that the rebuild was painstaking, it was arduous, and those years felt longer than they actually were. And so now we're coming through the other side, and it's a good time to be a Sox fan. So I think everybody banding together and keeping those good vibes up and taking the cues from the players that we root for and making the game fun, changing the game. Like, I think it's just again, it's an awesome time to be a Sox fan, man. Get on the bandwagon or get out the way. That's what I got to say.
Many hot dogs on my plate. Many hot dogs on my plate. Many, many hot dogs on my plate. And hot dogs is a metaphor for the so many things. And the plate is a metaphor for my life. Many things, many things, many things, many, 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 many things in my life are like hot dogs on a plate. Just sitting there, ready to make me fatter. Ketchup and mustard and other dipping sauces ready to tempt me. Why do you tempt me? Many, many hot dogs. Many, 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 many hot dogs on my plate. Cocktail wieners. Cocktail. Cocktail. Tail wieners. Big old cock. No, they're mini tail wieners. They're not big at all. And that's when I realized my problems aren't either. Don't sweat the small stuff. My penis is big enough.
But thanks for the ice.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have any ice.
What kind of household doesn't have ice?
I'm sorry that I don't. You know what I used to do is I used to, when I go to like Binny's or something like that, or I get some beer, I'd be like, yeah, grab me a bag of ice.
A bag of ice, right.
And now lately, I was like, that's stupid. I should be using ice trays like when I was a kid.
Yeah, make your own ice.
So I've been making my own ice. The problem with that is that I have
keep up with the
idiot
demand
children.
when you're a drinker.
Well, yeah. One, I use the ice. Two, I have idiot children. So, like, when my kid uses the ice to put him in a pop, he doesn't fill him up, the 12-year-old.
Of course.
The 12-year-old boy who's the hockey player,
Oh.
his head's in every other place except for what he's actually doing.
Sure.
So he forgets it all the time. The 15-year-old teenage girl, she don't care. Okay,
why would she?
Just does her own
Dad
thing.
will do it for
right.
me.
As far as she's concerned,
You
she's an
created
adult.
that monster,
right,
by the way.
Yeah. Okay, and then the 5-year-old, he can't reach the ice, so he's not really a problem.
You can't spell ice. You don't.
I think he can spell ice. The other day I spelled something, and he said, "You said what, Dad?" And he nailed what I did.
Get
it was a
outta here.
longer word that I said.
Nice.
I actually spelled ice cream. Like I asked Erica, should we get the kids some ICECREAM?
Well, you need to
and
start
he goes,
training
Did you say ice
him.
cream? And I'm like, oh, this is over
Start
now.
training him to fill the ice. Maybe he could be your guy.
Maybe he can be my guy.
Everyone's got to have a guy.
I also got this neat gift for Christmas that I've been using now. Oh, yeah, it's neat. Super neato.
Are you sure, Peter Brady?
Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
I got this thing called the Man Crate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need? Is
know.
this the right podcast for this?
I got this thing. My wife bought this thing for me on Christmas because it was one of those things where I think she knew what she wanted to get me, and she was like, I want to get him a fun gift. So she did one of those things.
Guys, she's the Man Crate.
So she does one of these things where she Googles like best gifts for men, and it gives like 100 gifts, right? And one of them
when
is,
you do that for women, by the way, is like lingerie, which is most likely not the best.
Pajamagram.
Yeah,
and you know, get him a $500 teddy bear. Like, no, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous.
But women don't even want that.
Right. I buy my Pandora gems for $7 on knockoff Amazon. That's
cash.
What I do. Right, give them cash. That's all they want.
It seems like so not romantic at the time, but it's truly what they want.
A pitcher of beer, a pitcher of beer. Let's order another pitcher of beer. That pitcher of beer should come over here. I love that pitcher of beer.
I'm at Imperial Oak in Willow Springs, and I am sitting with and I'm amazed by this because everybody came out for this one. I have all 3 owners of Imperial Oak sitting here having a beer with me this afternoon. We have Grant, Brett, and Chris, and guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. Brett and I were talking about it. Now, I was reading in a publication that was put out recently that Brett, you're the head brewer, but Grant tells me he brews as well. Do all 3 of you get in on the brewing, or what happens?
We kind of all have different roles. I kind of run the production aspect of the brewery with like all the scheduling and all of that stuff. Grant does a lot of like the infusions of the different beers and stuff, and the promotional stuff. And then Chris is like the front of house guy.
How often do you get to enjoy your own beer? Like, do you feel like it like you opened in 2014? We were talking before we turned on the mics. You probably don't go to as many breweries anymore as you probably went to before you started doing this. And how often do you get to sit down and really enjoy what you guys do?
I mean, pretty regularly. I mean, I'll come here with friends and family, and just as a customer. Well, not really a customer, but as a beer drinker more than a brewer. All my friends and family like when we show up at parties and stuff with beer. As far as getting out to other breweries, probably not as often. I definitely don't buy as much beer as I used to now that we make it here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but,
so then when you have a hankering for something that you're like, I'd like to do this style, that may influence what you're doing, because you guys change what you're doing a lot. You were explaining to me that like it's not really a set menu. You guys are constantly changing up what you want to do. Do things come back every year, or are things that you have that are like seasonal?
There's some that are seasonal. Some most of our barrel aged stuff, we've got a pretty good annual release schedule down now, because we'll make the beer and put it in barrels, and then a year later it comes out of the barrels. So that's kind of taken care of itself. We also have, it's more of a rotation of styles that are beers that fit within a certain style. Like we'll have like light beer, so that'll be like a Hefeweizen and a Belgian blonde ale and a Belgian wit and stuff like that. So it's all somewhat similar, but they're different to keep it interesting. So we have categories of beers so there's always something for everybody, but it's not always the same beer every time.
So if somebody comes into Imperial Oak, we've got a bunch of different beers in front of us here. You were explaining to me even though it rotates all the time, there's one that you basically started with that was an IPA, correct? And then that's been here for a long time. You're generally going to see that sitting up at the top of the board. Which one is that?
Yeah, so our Crank It Hop is our standard non-hazy IPA. We made it before hazy IPAs were even a thing. And I think it's...
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's going to be a Flander.
Okay,
that's going to be. That's going to be very different. That's going to be sour.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
So we
that would have been a big surprise.
We always wanted to do but we're a pub focused, on premise focused brewery. So the idea behind this was a beer that you could have multiple pints of. We've kind of always, so it's only 6%. It's nice and dry. It's easy drinking.
It's very smooth.
Yeah.
I love everything about this place. I love the fact that you look like you have grains underneath your tables.
Yeah,
I think that's really neat looking. I love the entire ambiance of it. I think the idea with the food trucks coming in is great. And the amount of selection in here, if you are on Chicago South Side, West Side, anywhere in Chicago, I think you need to make a pilgrimage out to Willow Springs and go and see these guys. Grant, Brett, Chris, I want to thank you very much for having me over here to Imperial Oak, and I look forward to coming back here many more times. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's the radio, but it's on the internet. It's the radio, but it's on the internet. It's the podcast.
We have the assistant principal over at Mother McAuley High School. This is Mrs. Meg Gardner. How are you, Meg?
Hi, great, Chris. Thanks so much for having me on.
What has it been like so far this year, going through this very weird school year? How has it gone so far?
Sure. Well, I'm happy to report that our first semester was extremely successful. We ran a hybrid model. Families also had the option to do full e-learning if that's what suited their needs, better than having their daughter come to school a few days a week. We were able to report that our attendance was up to 98% with the hybrid model for semester one, which is even 2 points higher than the previous school year. So we took that as a major win given the pandemic. Also, I think our instruction, we were very lucky. Our classes were live streamed. Our teachers did a phenomenal job making sure that, the instruction was synchronous. So no matter if a student was in their building or at home, there was never any stop to the instruction. It was continuous, and our students were able to do great things. So we're very pleased so far.
Yeah, I can tell everybody my daughter Audrey is a freshman, so this was her first semester of high school under this really strange.
Welcome to high school.
Yeah.
Sure.
It has been an odd time, but I will tell you this: it seems like a good job has been done trying to give some sort of high school experience. She has made a lot of new friends, even with the fact they're wearing a mask and it's hard to do like every after school thing that they probably would have done. But I know that I've met a bunch of new girls that I never met before. And so that must make you feel good to hear that.
Oh my gosh, we're happy to hear that. That's wonderful. So not only am I the assistant principal, I'm also the dean of the upperclassmen. And so student connectedness is a huge component of our student life here at McAuley. And so I have to say our student activities office did a great job first semester, and we're already gearing up for semester two with some fun events coming up. We have a school-wide dodgeball tournament coming up next Thursday, and there's a faculty team. I'm on it. I mean, we're like game on. We're really excited to see some kids. Our Mac Media Club is now going live this Wednesday with Mac Nation News. That's a first in McAuley history. So we're just got new things on the horizon for our students to, feel a part of our community, because that's so important to us. And I think that's a hallmark of our students' McAuley experience.
I remember at the beginning when this was about to start this school year, Principal O'Reilly kind of expressed it like she really wished she could get all the kids in the school. And, with now the vaccines getting rolled out, and my personal hope that once we start vaccinating those that are in the at-risk categories, you're 50, 60 and above, and those that are at risk will get some sort of normalcy. Is that how you guys are feeling over there? That, we might have to do the same thing to finish out this semester, but the summer and the fall might look a little bit different and get more back to the normal experience for these girls?
Absolutely. I mean, that's for sure our goal first and foremost. And, we've been on different calls with different principals of, in the Archdiocese, different high schools, and we're all on the same page, is that we know having all our students back in the building and the full experience of high school is what's best. And we just cannot wait to be given the clearance to do so.
What are your thoughts? I'm just kind of curious. I was speaking with somebody yesterday that's part of the faculty over at Brother Rice, who was mentioning to me that they're still trying to figure out what the sports schedule is going to look like for these kids in the spring. And his thought was, I get that there might not be the facilities to do everything safely for every class, but it would just be nice if we could take care of the seniors. It's their final year. They had a rough end of their junior year last year. Wouldn't it be great to get them out there and play? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I completely agree. Well, I'm also the assistant varsity volleyball coach at McAuley, so this is my 16th season coaching, and I completely agree. I especially feel for our spring athletes last year who may have been juniors who didn't get their season, maybe a water polo player, a soccer player, and now it's still up in the air for this year as well. So yeah, I think, if even if all levels aren't played, I think those varsity teams, just a home and away, a shortened schedule, something to send these seniors off in the style that they deserve. You put so much work in, so many hours of training, outside training, club, all of that for your high school season. And, we would hate to see that taken away from our players.
Anything pop up in this semester that it was weird, quirky, you learned about? I've heard so many happy accidents from people, like businesses, or like, I never thought about doing takeout. But now that I was forced to do it, even after this is over, I might actually continue a takeout thing. I mean, what have you guys kind of picked up during this that might actually get carried over once the world does get back on its axis?
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, I think personally, what I've been most impressed with is the resilience of our students and the resilience of our faculty, that they have just hit the ground running, ready to go. Second, I think it's just the creativity of our student activities, our club moderators, I think we really realize just how important that interaction is in these, after school activities and service projects. And, I think that we're still able to do a lot if we're really creative and outside the box and we have the students buying in. So I think that's been the two biggest things I've learned throughout this process.
Well, Meg Gardner, you are, first of all, I started off with assistant principal. I found out that you're in charge of like 50 other things. So. Oh
gosh! No. Oh my gosh! No, not at all. No.
Yeah, you got the volleyball. You're a dean. I mean, I like at first I was like, oh, we got the assistant principal on. Now I just found out you're running the place. So good for you.
Gosh, no. I'm happy. Macaulay's a special place, and I'm lucky to work here with such great families and our great staff. So thank you so much for letting us come on today.
Yeah, you guys are doing a wonderful job, and please keep up the good work, because trust me, it makes all the difference in the world to the 15-year-old girl that I have here that I didn't know what this was going to be like. I knew how disappointing the end of 8th grade was, and I knew how much it hurt her, just like from an emotional standpoint, to have like go through all this stuff. And she smiles. She smiles when she comes home. She smiles when she does her lessons online and sits in her room. And you guys have done a great job.
Oh my gosh, well that means the world to us. And thanks so much. Happy New Year to your family. And can't wait to see Audrey this week. So, and the rest of our Mighty Macs coming up. So thanks again, Chris. We really appreciate it.
So she gets me this man crate. Now this thing it's a cool idea what's inside of it. Like I got one of them right here. I got these really nice like rock whiskey glasses, like these square ones, really nice. Thick glass. They say Lanuti on the side of them.
Oh, nice.
They're
personalized.
Really they're personalized, everything like that. They come with these ice ball makers. The ball fits the thing perfectly.
Nice.
And it's a giant ball of ice.
Where are those ice balls, Chris?
I use the ice balls, so they're it takes a day for the balls to reform. That's the problem.
I understand.
After you use the balls, it takes time.
Sure.
To get the balls back to full-on ice balls. If you pull them out too early,
I don't know.
It's like a hollow ice ball, and then it breaks easily, and it's a mess. Okay, so anyway, there were some other things like some really cool like mixed bag of nuts and beef jerky and all this like man stuff.
Like dude stuff.
All right. The problem is
when you say man, it sounds like I don't know. Kind of weird.
Are you telling me I'm sexist?
No. It sounds kind of weird.
Southside podcast.
Oh, it's a man crate. But if you say like dude crate, like
dude crate.
All right.
Guy crate.
I'm just saying.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Shut up. Anyway, this crate, it comes with
your man crate.
It's my man crate. It comes with a tool that's like a little like brace or something. Like you can kind of hack into it if you want to. And the idea is you have to figure out how to open up this box that's sealed at all sides.
What?
And it's glued
it's a puzzle.
At all sides. So you have to find a way to break the box open. And
what's inside the box?
I'm hammering this thing and it won't even break. And Erica's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, why can't I do it? And she's like, well, there's stuff in there that's really nice, because she wasn't going to tell me what was in it until I broke open the thing to find out what was in there.
They shouldn't make it so unsealable if there's, all right?
So now there's a little instruction thing. And I go, okay, hold on. Here's the instructions. I'll read
who reads those things?
And it says, if you need help opening the crate, go to www.mancrate.com/help.
F that. I don't need help.
So I punch it into my phone. You go to the help page. It pops up and goes, you've reached the help page. If you can't open your man crate, try harder.
Nice. You ain't a man.
And that's all it says.
I love it. I love that.
So then I get aggravated. I go downstairs to the tool bench and I get a hammer. And I grab a flathead screwdriver, and I just pop that sucker right into the side of the box.
You're a man.
Busted that sucker open.
You're a man.
And I'm like, a real man understands that this stupid tool they gave me because they think it's funny. I was looking this thing up online.
What kind of tool was this?
The thing behind it, the whole idea behind this.
Like a crappy Allen wrench or something that IKEA gives you or something?
Exactly. The whole idea behind this is that it's hours of entertainment for people to watch me try to open it up.
No. I'm not going to give them that satisfaction.
And I'm like, that's ridiculous. She's like, let me take a picture with your crate. I'm like, give me a second. I pop the thing open. It breaks into like 5 different pieces. And she's like, what am I going to put on Facebook? I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
Like, this isn't make fun of Chris for 5 hours while he tries to break open his gift.
This is, look at Chris.
One of these again
He's
for
a
me.
man. He defeated the man crate. So he is the alpha man.
In record time.
He won.
The trick to the man crate was not falling for the man crate's game.
Exactly. You are the winner of the man crate. It did not defeat you. What was in it?
The glasses, like I said, in the ice balls.
Oh, so
remember the beginning of the conversation?
I know, but that was what's in the thing you broke with a hammer?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of lucked out that I didn't break everything in the crate, but it worked out okay. It worked out okay.
That's fine.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nude is basement. Broadcast basement. The nudist basement. The broad basement. Slancha. That was like Dropkick Murphys or something, right? I felt like it.